So does Michael Myers, does The Shape lack motive in the original Halloween? I see a lot of people still trying to paint the picture that there is motive in that movie. Here's the answer. That movie is a shit show. What you think you see, what you think you hear, that's what it's about. It's all a theater of the mind. No, it's garbage. It's garbage. Mood and atmosphere. Now that I really like. That's what I'm looking for. That's what I want to see. Hey folks, how you doing? Dave McCrae here. Okay, so I did touch on this a little bit in an addendum video that I uploaded just a few days ago as of shooting this video. An addendum video where I was talking about how the brother-sister story subplot in Halloween 2 was completely unnecessary. And I touched on this in the last half of that video. And every now and then when I upload videos where I'm talking about a multitude of things, I see something where I'm like, you know what, that would make a great video in and of itself. So that's what this video is here. And I want to tackle the question, does Michael Myers lack motive? Because I see a lot of people even trying to make the argument that there's motive even in Halloween 1. And I think that's primarily because they look at Halloween 1 and 2 as this cohesive thing, and they look at Halloween 1 now as if he's chasing his sister. And I understand that, I get that. But I think it's important to understand that everything that you think makes sense in terms of a brother-sister thing in Halloween 1 actually isn't really there. And it's not there because when they were making that movie, there was no plan to make another one, and Laurie was not his sister. So the narrative and structure of the film was not set up for that. Now, because of how the narrative and film was set up, in a very vague sort of sense, because of the enigma and the anonymity of the character, luckily, Carpenter can introduce something in Halloween 2, and you can go back and watch part 1 and make up your own stuff in your own mind. But that doesn't mean that that is actually what's happening there when you take it at face value. And a lot of people like to look at The Shape. You've heard me say this 1,000 times, that Michael lacks motive. There is no reason for doing what he's doing. And they try to paint a picture that there's even motive in the original film. And the things that they point to tell me that I don't think they really understand what it means when people say that he lacks motive, or what I mean, or what Halloween purists mean, or what any Halloween fan means. Now, obviously, the further you go along in the sequels, it's heavily alluded to motive, and that tends to kind of, that thing's out of, that's in the garbage now. But you could even, and this was the whole argument that I was making in my, other two videos, you could make this argument even in Halloween 2 if you were to remove the brother-sisters subplot. But let's talk about this. So what does it mean that Michael lacks motive? Well, this is what it means. In order to truly understand how Michael has no motive, you have to go back to the original film and to a line that Dr. Loomis says. And we've heard this line 1,000 times. I've said it 1,000 times. You've said it 1,000 times. But watching Halloween 1 now, we're pretty much on autopilot. And when we get to this line, we probably tend to, it's cool, blah, blah, blah. But we kind of glaze over it now because we've seen it 1,000 times. And it's this line here. I met him 15 years ago. I was told there was nothing left. No reason, no conscience, no understanding in even the most rudimentary sense of life or death, of good or evil, right or wrong. But do we really understand what Dr. Loomis is saying? Let's read that again. I met him 15 years ago. Okay. I was told there was nothing left. No reason, no conscience, no understanding in even the most rudimentary, which basically means basic, simplest, in even the most basic or simplest, if you will, sense of life or death, of good or evil, right or wrong. What Dr. Loomis is saying there is he's painting a picture of this individual, of this being, of this person, of whatever this guy is, who lacks conscious understanding, who lacks reason, who lacks the ability to make conscious decisions. He doesn't know what he's doing is right or wrong. He doesn't understand life and death. in even the most basic understanding. Therefore, he's acting purely on instinct. He is an instinctual predator. He is a force of nature. He's like the wind. And when you think of it like that, it makes sense. So Michael escaping from Smith's Grove Sanitarium, stealing a car, driving back to Haddonfield and killing, those aren't conscious decisions he's making. They're instinctual decisions. It's not his motive, because he's not sitting there compartmentalizing his thoughts going, okay, on this night, well, you know what? I'm going to kill that bitch first before you know what? That's not happening. I mean, look how he sits up behind Laurie at the end of the movie, right? That whole sit up like this and then turn like this. It's so, methodical and robotic. He's just this force of nature. It's eerie and creepy. It's instinctual. There is no motive, which means there's no rhyme or reason for doing what he's doing. When police officers look for motive, they look for reason. Oh, the life insurance policy. Bob was having an affair with Jane. They had a toxic relationship and the dad wanted the son. See, the dad didn't like the girlfriend. And now the girlfriend's dead and the dad... That's what they look for. But there is no reason here. It's purely and simply evil. What is evil then, right? Think of it like when somebody pleads insanity. Now, I'm not here to argue the merits of that. I'm just simply saying that you could look at it like that. We've all seen a situation where we've been like, what? The guy murders 5 people in cold blood and he gets 5 years? Right? And then you find out, he pleaded insanity. The judge and jury bought it. Well, what does that mean? Well, I'm not a lawyer or a judge, but it basically means that the defense team are arguing that he's insane. He doesn't know right from wrong. He's not making these conscious decisions. It's for all intents and purposes, it's instinctual. He's insane. He doesn't know. He doesn't know, or he blacked out. He was unaware. He doesn't know. Similar kind of thing. I was told there was nothing left. No reason, no conscience, no understanding, in even the most rudimentary sense of life or death, of good or evil, right or wrong. He's an instinctual predator. And then when you read the last part of that quote, which is this here, I met this 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face and the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes. I spent 8 years trying to reach him and then another 7 trying to keep him locked up because I realized that what was living behind that boy's eyes was purely and simply evil. And now the question becomes, well, what is evil? What is he talking about? What are we dealing with here? And that's the question that cannot and must not be answered, because that keeps the enigma and the mystique of The Shape intact. That's the whole foundation of the movie, right? That's what the boogeyman is built on. Do you know what I mean? So that makes, that's what's so great about that whole line. But prior to that, Loomis is essentially painting the picture of what we're dealing with. Not telling you outright. I mean, you have to think about it a bit more. But there is no rhyme or reason. There is no motive. That's what Loomis is saying. There's no fucking motive. There's no reason for doing what he's doing. He is a force of nature. It's instinctual. He doesn't say the word instinctual, but that's what he means. There's nothing left, So when you look at Halloween 2 from 1981, again, just to touch on that for a moment, because the brother-sister arc was implemented in that movie, but essentially only in the last 10 minutes of the movie, you could remove it and replace the dream sequence that Laurie has and replace a bit of the dialogue in the back of the Marshal's car to complement this further, to build upon this more. And nothing really changes because Laurie never finds out that she's his sister anyway. So, and that doesn't mean it's not a cool little twist. Sure, it's charming and, there's a lot of people that like it. But if you were to build upon that more, you could. And then you may ask, well, again, if he's not chasing his sister, why is he after Laurie? Well, like I said, she's the one that got away. But that in and of itself isn't motive, because it's just perpetuating the already enamored lust that he has for this girl that was built in the original film. She got away, but it's not like he forgets about everybody else and just has this tunnel vision and focuses in on her. No, he kills the girl that was going, Mrs. Elrod, Mr. Elrod. Why did he kill her? It's instinctual. It's instinctual. He's a predator. He's going around. And then he hears Laurie's name on the boombox, right? Oh, you know, he already has this lust for him because she got away. Maybe that lust is heightened a bit, right? But that's not motive in and of itself, because he's this predatory, instinctual, evil sort of no conscience, no understanding. No, it's just this blank thing that's just going around, you know, like the wind, you know, and that's why you could play Halloween 2 that way. You could, and I think it would be as equally as satisfying, in my opinion, because of how unnecessary, because of how the brother-sister plot is implemented. If they had introduced the brother-sister angle earlier in the movie and built the foundation around it, and characters were finding out, and it becomes this whole thing, well, okay, maybe interesting. And then the big reveal is not necessarily the twist that she is the sister. The big reveal is us seeing her find out she is the sister. That's where the satisfaction comes in. We already know, but we see her find out, which becomes satisfying for the audience. But that's not what happened, you know? So, now, again, like I said, the further you go along in the sequels, the harder and harder that becomes, which is why I just think most of them are fucking dog shit shows. But yeah, there is no motive. There was no motive in the original film, and you could structure Halloween 2 to also have no motive as well. So anyways, folks, yeah, that is what it means when people say there is no, Michael lacks motive. Not that he's, you know, the little things that you see him do, but the bigger picture. He's not consciously aware. He has no conscious awareness of what he's doing. He is a predator. He is a force of nature. So yeah, my name's Dave McCrae. Comment below and let me know your thoughts. If you want to follow me on Facebook, you can at facebook.com/manythingsdavemccrae. That's where I tend to post in the meantime and in between time when I'm not posting here. All my links are in the description. Alrighty, I'll talk to you guys soon. Cheers.